Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting for Monday, June 13th, 2011. I'd ask everyone in attendance to join us in singing our national anthem.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you to Mr. David Bray for the rendition of O Canada and to the National Film Board of Canada for the images of our country. So we'll start the City Council meeting with the adoption of the minutes from the previous council meeting. Councillor Crokin.
I'd move we adopt the minutes of the City Council meeting held May 16th, 2011.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Did anyone notice any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. We have another set of minutes from our special City Council meeting. Councillor Wong.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I move the adoption of the minutes of the special City Council meeting held May 24th, 2011.
Thanks, Councillor Wong. Did anyone notice any errors or omissions from that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. And then finally, I'd call for a adoption of the agenda. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move council adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Any additions or deletions, changes to the agenda? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. And that brings us to the delegation portion of our agenda, which is an opportunity for anyone in the community or anyone to come and address council on any community matter. We had notice of a couple of different delegations, and our first was a delegation from Enbridge Northern Gateway Pipeline Project. We'd ask you to come forward and introduce yourself for the city clerk. Hobble your way forward, is that maybe? Yeah.
Thank you for having us. We do have a presentation. I'm not sure. I did send it forward. Is it already, or should I load it?
Let's have a look and see if it's on the on the laptop there.
Sure.
And just maybe while you're doing that, if you could introduce yourselves for the city clerk and for council.
So my name is Marnie O'Hamus. My apologies. Nothing like making an entrance.
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Marnie O'Hamus. I'm Senior Advisor, Stakeholder Relations with Enbridge Northern Gateway. With me today is Colin Kinsley. He's Chair of the Northern Alliance, former Mayor of Prince George as well.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So I think it's just loading up. So if you like, I can do it without the presentation, although I think it's more informative if you actually see the slides. So if we have a moment, we could wait till it gets fired
Sure,
up.
it's not plugged in.
I'm not sure it's...
You're not plugged in.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob, if you can maybe just assist to make sure we're all set up, would be great. Sorry, we had some presentations earlier before council as well, so.
Still back there.
No problem. If you had any materials that you wanted to hand out, maybe now would be an appropriate time to do that.
Yes.
Yeah?
If, Your Worship, with your permission, if it's protocol, I have some information on the Alliance. It's just an application form that gives a background of what it stands
Sure,
for.
please.
Just pass them on. I'll start right here. No, this was just started, well, actually, 2 years now. But we were here 2 months ago with the chamber, and we're in these council.
Colin, when did you meet with us?
Sorry, council, we are in an actual council meeting now, so if you have a question for the delegation, I'll ask you to bring in. So we had a question, yes. Councilor, do you want to bring in just a comment?
Thanks, Mayor Given. I was just wondering if that was the same presentation I was at about 4 years ago with the Alliance Enbridge pipeline to Kitimat.
It'll be the same project, but the Northern Gateway Alliance project, the group that formed in 2009, I believe, Colin. And so if
Okay.
it's 4 years ago, it might have been, you would have had a presentation by the project team doing some
Yes.
early consultation time. This is a group that is formed, and Colin can talk about when it formed and the purpose of its formation, which is still a part, but it's a kind of an arm's length away from the actual project team.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Given.
To Mr. Kingsley, you came and met with council, was it a year ago or so, to do an update?
You're right, Councilor Rice, a year or longer, a year and a half ago perhaps, with, I think Roger Harris was with me at that time.
So this is just to do an update of what you've done in the last year and a half?
Yes, Marnie's going to give an update of where we've moved, because it's actually under, the regulatory review is actually started now.
Okay, thank you.
So I think we're
Okay.
ready to begin
Hey.
with the presentation, so I apologize for that kind of convoluted beginning and the awkward entrance. But again, my name is Marnie Ohamus, Senior Advisor, Stakeholder Relations with the Enbridge Northern Gateway team, and this is Colin Kinsley, as I mentioned, Chair of the Northern Gateway Alliance. And this is a project that you've probably been hearing about. Our initial consultation actually started back in 2002 when we started to meet with communities and stakeholders along the proposed right-of-way. So it's something that's been around for a little while, but there has been developments, and that's why we're here today to speak with you and give you an update on the project. The project is an important one, we believe, not just for Alberta, British Columbia, but also for Canada. There we go, we're up and running. Thank you. Northern Gateway will provide a link between the vast resources of Canada to the large and expanding markets in Asia, and reduce our reliance to our friends to the south as the only outlet for our tremendous energy reserves. The United States has been a very good market, have been very good friends. Over 90% of our hydrocarbons are shipped towards the United States, but the demand for that product is flat at best. We don't expect that demand to increase. And so we can choose to keep our vast reserves that are here, energy reserves here, landlocked, or we can choose to open up that market and export our products over to Asia, which we know has quite a bit of hunger. I think they use about 318 million tons of hydrocarbons a year. And so what the Northern Gateway Pipeline Project will do is provide an opportunity to have that product shipped out to Asia, and that way we will be price setters, not price takers. If we keep our products landlocked and only have one market, then we only are able to sell at a discount. We believe that Northern Gateway is a smart, safe, and strategic way to connect our most valuable export to the developing markets that it needs. So I'll just do a very quick overview of what the project is. It is a complex project. It's large. It's $5.5 billion, which will see 2 pipelines being constructed that will run from Bruderheim out west to Kitimat. So the terminal will be in the Kitimat area. It's 1,177 kilometers. Going west will be an oil export line that is 36 inches and can, at capacity is 525,000 barrels per day. And then coming from the Kitimat terminal, traveling east to Bruderheim, is a 20-inch, 193,000 condensate line. There will be 10 electric pump stations located along the right-of-way, one of which will be in this, close to this area. At Kitimat, there's 14 tanks and 2 ship berths. Last year, we filed the application with the JRP. Since then, we filed further information that was required by the JRP. And like I said, the reason we're talking to you today is that we recently received a hearing order which will outline the next 14 months of activities for the regulatory approval process. So as I said, it's a large-scale, very complex project that is being designed, however, to meet or exceed rigorous regulatory standards. Pipeline and marine transportation technology and regulation has evolved and improved certainly over the past 20 years. Enbridge isn't hiding from the fact that we've had some recent failures, but those past failures are being carefully studied. We're looking at root causes, and we're learning from those and implementing those learnings. We can say, though, that even though there have been some recent incidents, Enbridge, as you know, is a very large company that ships almost 950 million barrels of product annually. We ship about 2 million barrels of product per day, and we can say that we have a safety record of over 99.99%. We've been in operation for over 60 years, and we believe that's a powerful demonstration of our commitment to safety. So we believe that from building and testing to monitoring and maintaining pipelines still remain one of the safest and most efficient energy transport systems. We will apply all applicable industry standards and government regulations. Those regulations will be met and exceeded. We'll use industry best practices in order to do what we can to mitigate the possibility of a pipeline spill. Northern Gateway will maintain an aggressive pipeline integrity maintenance program and continually monitor the pipeline. There are people 24/7 that are on duty at our control center. We have sophisticated technology that monitors the pipeline at the control center and will use that technology. It's a combination of the human factor plus the technology that allows us to ensure that we can operate and responsibly operate our pipelines. What we did when we designed the routing, we have over 40 environmental studies. We looked very carefully at the design and the routing. We chose to route the pipeline along, for the most part where we could, along already used right-of-way. We try and avoid using greenfield right-of-way simply because nobody likes to see land affected if it doesn't have to be, so that's why we try and do that. We've also very carefully studied where there's geotechnical concerns. We've tried to avoid those kinds of things, looking at landslides, that type of stuff, and that's why we were building 2 significant tunnels to avoid high alpine areas, to avoid those hazards. Those tunnels are 6.5 kilometers long, and they're wide enough that they're 5.5 kilometers wide, and that's so that maintenance vehicles can get in there 24/7 any time of the year. The other thing that we've done is used a SWAT, we call it a SWAT team. It's a strategic water course assessment team. There's over 700 water course crossings for this pipeline. That's a significant amount, and we've taken a look at each one, and we continue to look at each one and work with regulators to figure out the best way to approach those water course crossings. We take into considering the environment, we use geotechnical experts, we use construction experts to ensure that how we cross those pipelines will be done so with minimal impact to the environment. Of course, the other thing is, in the unlikely event there is a spill, what we are doing is reducing the consequence of those spills. And what we're doing on Northern Gateway is placing strategic valves, remotely controlled valves, in more locations than have been previously done on other pipelines. It's one of the learnings that we've, one of the learnings from past experiences in the industry. We are locating, so far there's planned about 90 different smart valves on those locations, and particularly where they'll be located is again at those water courses, environmentally sensitive areas on other sides, so that it can, if there's a reduction in pressure, the control center can shut those valves down, and that should minimize how much product is actually being released. The other thing we're doing is working with communities, first responders, and looking at the geography to understand where emergency response equipment should be located so that we can respond. Our goal is less than 6 hours. We think we can respond to anything within 2 to 4 hours anywhere along the right-of-way system. I won't get into the marine side of things unless there are questions for that, so I think I'll just move on. But I will say that Gateway has worked with a third party out of Norway. We've taken the learnings from those shipping out of Scotland, Sweden, and Norway, who have been shipping hydrocarbons in some pretty hostile waters for 30 years and doing so safely. What we've committed to doing, which will actually make the Douglas Channel safer than it is now, is the company will personally vet the ships and crews that are allowed to bring the product in. We're using double-hulled ships, multi-compartment. We're using tug escort operations. We have closed loading and containment booms that will surround each ship. We also are using compulsory BC pilots who know the Douglas Channel waters, and they will be brought onto the ships to actually guide the ships into the berth. Some other things, weather monitoring, reduced vessel speeds, and emergency response equipment that doesn't exist there now, but will be there. And so that, like I said, will be to the benefit of all the traffic coming through the Douglas Channel. So again, why I'm here to talk to you today is that there has been development in the regulatory approval process. Like I said, May 5th, the JRP released its hearing order, which does set out the activities for the review process. This review process is done by an impartial review. The JRP is set up as a review panel. All of our assurances, the things we're saying here today, will be tested by that JRP through information requests, through cross-examination at the hearings. Some important dates. Big one is that there will be some community hearings. I would expect that Grand Prairie likely will be host to those some of those community hearings. Those start in January of next year. And then the final hearings are taking place in June, end of June of 2012. We hope for a regulatory decision, depending on how that process goes, by the end of 2012, with an in-service date we're hoping by 2017. So it still seems a long ways away for construction and in-service, but what's important now is this is when the project will live or die, because this is when the regulatory approval process is happening. The JRP can only base its decision on what is formally filed and placed on record, either as written or oral evidence. They have to use that record to make their determination, and they will determine what's in the best interest of the Canadian public. They will weigh the risks with the benefits and come out with a decision on whether it is in the best interest. We know that those who oppose us will have their voices heard. They're passionate and they are committed. And what we are asking is for people on the other side of the debate also to have their voices heard. There are three ways that you can participate in the regulatory process. One of them is to register by July 14th as a government participant or an intervener. You could choose to file evidence. You'd have to put a panel up and ask questions if you did that, and then file final argument. You could also choose to intervene, and you could choose to, at this time, just receive the information, follow the process, and then give final argument in a written or oral format at the end of those hearings. Something that's a little bit less onerous, it may not hold as much weight. Of course, being an intervener holds the most weight with the JRP, but the JRP is certainly interested in hearing people's thoughts about the project and how they'll be affected by it. One of them that is the JRP has, like I said, chosen to set up these community hearings so that people can provide oral testimony, and that registration date is October 6th. Oral statements will be 10 minutes long with a short Q&A afterwards. And finally, the last way is to register by March 13th of next year to submit a letter of comment. So why would people get involved? I think there's a couple of reasons why we're looking for those who support us to also have their voices heard, and that is there are benefits, and there's significant benefits to the project. As we said, it's a $5.5 billion project. That's just to construct. We expect there to be about 2,000 to 3,000 workers, which will be directly employed during peak periods of project construction. In Alberta alone, we expect there to be about 15,000 person years of employment in Alberta. In this region, we expect there to be about 1,320 person years of total construction employment. Lots of people ask us, what are the benefits long term? There will be 1,150 long-term jobs created as a result of this project, and in this area there will be 17 direct and 25 indirect employment opportunities here. The other thing we can say is that, what's the benefit? The city of the city of Grande Prairie, I'm thinking of my colleague here, Colin, the city of Grande Prairie is not unfamiliar with the oil and gas industry or with pipelines, and I think you understand that when a construction team comes through an area, there are lots of things that have to be, lots of services and goods that will be sourced from an area. We expect in this region, northwest of Alberta, that $142 million will be spent on regional goods and services. Those are things like equipment rentals, accommodation, and food, stockpiling, trucking, equipment parts. People will be buying tires from your stores. People will be eating in your restaurants. They'll be shopping in your stores, and they'll be staying in your hotels. I'll just wrap up by saying there are benefits to be found both locally, but also the benefit is really to all of Canada. We've had a professor of economics doing an economic study, and he's anticipated or estimated that the benefit overall of the project to the Canadian economy will be almost $270 billion in gross domestic product. To kind of put that number into perspective, that's the equivalent of the Ontario economy today. So I'll leave it by saying that the Northern Gateway project is an important project. We think there are benefits to opening up a new market so that we're not price takers, we're price setters. It'll provide immense economic benefit. It'll encourage new investment in Alberta and in Canada. In order for the project to succeed, though, we need people who support the project to have their voices heard, and the way to do that is by actively participating in the regulatory process. Colin will talk a little bit about the alliance that we mentioned earlier.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Your Worship, members of council, on the alliance, it really is simply put a community coalition established to support the regulatory review, because there's been opposition from the get-go on just the process itself from groups mostly west of Prince George, because there's no pipeline culture, there's no treaties, and there's a bit of a desire to make that part of British Columbia a world park, I think, and so there's a lot of fear. So we need to hear the other side of the story and people who support what the Joint Review Panel does, and that's, you know, the National Energy Board and the Canadian Environmental Assessment Agency. And the group that I head is made up of community leaders from all walks of life. There's elected officials, non-elected, there's chambers of commerce, labor leaders, just small business operators and regular folks that see an opportunity to enhance Canada's economic well-being. By being a member of the Alliance, there's no annual fee, there's no meetings. It's just that you go on a site whereby we send you information. No matter what happens, we share it with the group. Its numbers right now around 700. Our target is to try and double that over the next couple of months if we can. And it's mainly because an informed public can articulate things better within the media when you're questioned about these things, the economic benefits and the risks. And the other thing is the opposition is signing up people en masse in 7-Elevens and that kind of thing. And we've made it a little bit more formal, so if we get your email address, we can actually send out information to you on an ongoing basis. And like I say, it's our job is to ensure that you're well informed as best we can be on the process as it proceeds over the next 2 years. So thank you very much for your time and your attention. Really appreciate it.
Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, thank you. We'll open it up for questions. Any questions from council for the delegation? Councillor McLean?
Oh, thank you, Mayor Given. I got a few questions for you, Colin and Kinsley. How long is the life expectancy of this pipeline? When will it be put out of service? Because there's a lot of pipelines that are old and some are leaking. How many tanks per week are you expecting to get out of there? I think Hibernia is 2 or 3 if the weather's good. And I'm a little confused. I understand a 36-inch pipeline for oil. The condensate line, is that a water line or what's that all about? And is there going to be a gas line? Like, I'm wondering about if that's going to end up being a water one.
I see the delegation furiously taking notes. They can answer all of those. So.
Yes,
A couple questions.
I will try to answer them. I may have to ask for you to repeat one of them, but I think the first one was how long is the pipeline expected to be in service? We've done studies that right now the economic life is approximately 50 years, but we do expect that a well-maintained pipeline that has a market and a need for it can continue. We've had pipelines in operation for 60 years already and will continue to be in operation as long as that market is there, and like we said, as long as the money is being spent to maintain that integrity, which Enbridge is committed to doing.
What is condensate?
How many? The third question, I think the first two were related. The third question was how many tanks per week get out. I maybe need clarification on the question. Is that how many tankers?
How many ships, tankers?
I'm just going to go maybe back to, it's not up there, but I'll just have it in my notes. The tanker traffic is expected to be about 220 tankers a year, or be forecasted to come into the Kitimat terminal annually. And that's compared to current levels, that'll be an increase of about 86%. Okay. Wanted some clarification of which pipelines. The 36-inch pipeline, 525,000 barrels per day is the oil export pipeline. The 20-inch condensate line is an import line, and what condensate is used, we'll kind of compare it to paint thinner. It's not paint thinner, but it's that idea where you need the bitumen that's coming out of, for example, the oil sands up in the north. Is a very heavy crude, and in order to ship it through the system, you need to mix it with something that kind of allows it to be flow through the pipeline. Condensate is that product that we use. It's a diluent that's used, so it's not water. It's just a thinner product that helps thin out the bitumen for shipment. No, there won't be a gas pipeline. There is one being constructed, and that's the NGL that you may have heard that Apache is doing, and there's an NGL terminal in Kitimat also being built.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thanks very much. Any further questions for the delegation? No, seeing none. It looks like you've answered all the questions. Thanks very much for your time. I appreciate you circulating the application to join. It's also nice to know that there's no fee.
Yep.
So if people are looking for information about the project or about the Alliance, where could they go to find that information?
On the Alliance, it's www.northerngatewayalliance.ca, and you can sign up right online. and there's some updated information on there from time to time as well.
And if there's project information, I'm happy to take emails or phone calls at any time.
Okay, that's really great. Thank you very much. And I'd also encourage you to be in contact with the Grand Prairie and District Chamber of Commerce. They're fairly influential in the region and very, very active. They're actually Alberta's third largest chamber of commerce, rivaled only by Edmonton and Calgary. So.
Yes, we actually met with them about a month ago and are meeting with them again tomorrow, so I
And
appreciate
you're
it.
right, they were awesome, Your Worship. There was 55 people showed up for a lunch.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah, it was great.
That's a big chamber.
Yeah,
Great. Thank you for having us. Appreciate
no
the
problem.
time.
Thank you.
That's just the lunch, Chairman, if you had wine and cheese.
So we'll let the delegation clear. I know that we did have another delegation that wanted to come forward and give us an update on the Reading University. And I believe we have the a duo back there. I see Rhonda and Linda Side, if you want to come up and join us.
Thank you again, have a great evening.
Thanks very much.
Anybody give you the Canucks score?
Or nothing.
Welcome, ladies.
Thank you very much. Thank you for seeing us, Mayor Given, councillors. We represent Grade 3 Reading University, a program that we started in 2009 in the 11th hour before the end of the school year. And I was thinking about it earlier today that when we had our very first loosely organized lunch session that we did have the former mayor there, Superintendent Gunay, one of the trustees of the GP Public School Board, the two of us and another lady that was a former resident named Pat Downs. And the model was based on a project that had started in Camrose, which was based on a model that was started by a very old man in one of the southern states. And what they recognized was a very compelling issue, and that is that kids that are leaving grade 3, if they aren't reading at grade level, run a very serious risk of continuing not to read at that level as the years go by. What we had at that meeting was a lot of enthusiasm. We've grown it over the last couple of years and have support uniquely by all 3 districts, the county, GPRC, and some support from the city of Grand Prairie. We have had access to your library, busing, the swimming pool. But one of the things that we're here to ask about is how we can get to the facilities that are within your purview that have a gatekeeper. So if we go to the library, for example, we have to talk to people at the library. These children work for 3 weeks in the summer, and some of the event, or some of the program that's unique is that they use field trips as an opportunity to read and to enhance the skills that they're learning while they're there during the program. So they'll go to, say, your dinosaur park and have to be able to read the signs, read the programs, understand what's happening there, an entirely different atmosphere than they might typically be exposed to, and it helps
aids in the
process.
comprehension, right? It's it integrates what they're doing in the classroom with the community, ties it all up for them.
So, for example, this morning when Rhonda presented to the county, which gave us $5,000, I'd like to, this is the 3 years running, she met with the people from the Dinosaur Museum, and they said, no, we have to go through the processes that are involved with the city in order to get the children there. So we need some assistance there in terms of process, how we manage to get there. The other thing that's unique about this is we don't have sponsors. We have donors. We have families within the community. Each one of the groups that are involved, the restaurants that help us with lunches for these children, transportation, there is not one single group that has ever asked for recognition. It's not that at all. It's an investment in the future, in this community, which we all have a very serious stake in. And I think we've seen the results that occur over the 3 weeks, and there is not an investment that you can make that can give you that kind of ROI. I know that. It's results and solution-based, and it's not a criticism of any of those school districts. They get that. We can't teach them. We don't have those skills. we can go out and talk about the project because we think it packs a lot of heart. And that's about all Rhonda and I can do. The teachers, we have to look to, at this stage, a banker board, like the foundation. And they manage that and source the expertise to teach the children. But what we need to do, without beating around the bush, is round up the dough. So we're here for two things, and that's to ask for some assistance with the facilities and to ask you for some money to help with these kids. It's a hard cost, $1,000 per student. Most of that is for teaching.
I'm the dancing monkey. I'm not, I don't get to speak this time.
No, not this time around. Okay. Any questions for the delegation?
Well, maybe Matt.
Any questions for the delegation and council? Councillor Redmond?
So, how many students now? So I'm looking at an annual operating budget. So, did you say 80?
80 this year. So we grew it
80,000-ish.
from 30 to 80 in 2 years.
And are you gathering the dough for longer term, or are you trying to get more than enough just for this next year?
Well, in any of the correspondence that we're sending out to the various groups, that's what we're asking for. We don't like doing this every year. We would like to see some sustainability, and most of the people that are in for the next 3 years. What we want to see ultimately is that every child that needs it has access to it. Our kids are long since past this. They're great readers, but we all know people that
2 years for mine. He's past this.
you know,
Only
everybody
ours.
knows somebody that can't read or has difficulty reading, or had they been able to read, you know. So we recognize that. Yes, we want to see it
Year after year.
year after year.
Okay, thanks very much. There's a couple other questions. Councillor Monroe?
Thanks, Mayor Given. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more about what specifically from facilities that you're looking for.
Oh, we'd like to take them to the dinosaur discovery at Center 2000. And we did get them there last year, but it came through donation that an outside source paid for that adventure for the kids. And
Mr. Bickle gave them the tour, 2 separate tours, that sort of thing. So I know this from being involved with the games, that you have Bernie. You know, you have a go-to person, and maybe that's sort of what we're hoping to do. We'd like to take them swimming for some relief. They need to go to the art gallery and the library. The busing, we take them up to Kohl's. Some of them have never been to the bookstore. They get a gift card and get to purchase a real book.
Okay. Any further questions? Councillor Rice?
Your cost is approximately $1,000 a student. As you get more students, do you anticipate that cost dropping per student?
no.
That
No.
wasn't what I wanted to hear.
Well, we've got one teacher, 1 aide for every 10 students.
Okay,
It's a very high ratio.
That can't be,
okay.
we just don't want to mess around with that. It really does produce the results, and it can't happen inside a school district.
Okay, thank you.
We have some ideas that we've tossed around, you know, if we can get innovative in terms of the hiring outside of the contracts that the teachers have, but that's what's hamstringing us.
Okay. Okay. Any further questions for the delegation? No? And then just, Councillor Wong?
Sorry, thank you, Mayor Given. So your request for some help, that's for the program running this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
The program runs from July 5th to the 22nd, on the 4th. On the 22nd, we have a full cap and gown ceremony in the College Theatre, followed by a barbecue, not sponsored, given by the KEG. And they don't just give you a burnt wiener. It's a full-on beautiful dinner, and, you know, we had how many people there last year?
About 250. We expect probably 300 people this year. And the kids don't just go through their ceremony. Last year, they did a fantastic presentation of The Hairy Toe. They did a play. They read it. They memorized it. They acted it out. It's amazing.
Okay, so we would need to act pretty quickly on your request then.
If you can.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions for the delegation? Oh, see a few. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I will presume in terms of how council might support or not this project, but I will speak for the project. Because we've had some involvement through our Public School District Foundation, and we've supported it. But as the girls have stated, it is getting amazing results. They have a good program, a good strategic way to teach the reading. As the girls have said, they've complemented it with field trips to actually use that language and that reading. And they've done measures after the program, and so those students are reading at getting, if not all, at grade level, near that grade level, and that will ensure success in their future learning. So, and a true community program that is touching the lives of students in all 3 school districts too. That was kind of year 2, he went that way, and that was excellent as well, so that all schools have that opportunity to recommend students. So kudos for the project.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Just awesome.
Okay, I see a couple others in the queue. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Given. What Councillor Radburn says is I'm totally for helping out kids for reading. It's grade 3 what you're doing here. But swimming really hit me what you were saying, and I think Miss Full Day's having a 3-hour swim, and there should be maybe something for a day for the children in the outdoor pool, so I'm going to throw that in there as well. So.
Okay, and Councillor Rice?
I just want to comment that I found it very interesting the way it was put, and I think Councillor Radburn just confirmed that up to and including grade 3, children are learning to read, and after that, they're reading to learn. I think an extremely important differentiation, and that's why the timing of your program is critical. If I understand that right.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thanks very much, ladies. I don't see any further questions. And so council will deal with our delegation business at the end of our agenda tonight. So you can either stick around. It's going to be an exciting, action-packed agenda, or you can
Go watch
check
the
in with
rest of the
somebody.
slaughter.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for your time.
There's something else on television tonight? I thought it was just us.
Thanks
Thanks very much
again.
for being here. Okay, and so this is one more opportunity for anybody in the community that wanted to come forward to address council on any issue. We do still have that opportunity. Is there anybody else that'd like to come forward to address council on any issue? I'm looking at you back there. No, you're just observing tonight? Well, that's fine. Then we'll move on from the delegation portion of our agenda. And through public hearings, of which we have none, unfinished business, of which we have none, and on to reports. And we'll start off with a brief introduction on item 8.1 from administration. Ms. Donnelly, is that you?
Thank you. The purpose of this is to set the date and time for the first reading, to amend bylaw C 11,000-174. It's to change some land uses, and there are quite a number of them, so I won't list them all, but it's to set the date of July 11th at 7 p.m. in this council chamber for the time and location for public hearing.
Okay, thanks very much. And so I'd look to council. I see Councillor Rice.
I would move first reading of bylaw C 1100-174 to amend the land use bylaw zoning for Northeast 3071 5th west of the 6th median be changed.
Okay, thanks very much. We have a motion for first reading. I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Rice?
I would move that council establish Monday, July 11th, 2011 at 7 p.m. in council chambers as the date, time, and location for public hearing purposes for bylaw C 1100-174.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Do we have any discussion or debate as to date, time, and location? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you, and that motion carries. From there, we're on into committee business already. We have the Council Committee of the Whole. Could I have someone move that recommendation? Councillor McLean?
I recommend council receive the minutes of the Council Committee of the Whole meeting held May 16, 2011.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Did anyone notice any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That motion carries. And we'll move on from there to Public Works Committee. Councillor Wong.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Given. I move that council receive the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting held May 17, 2011.
Thank you very much. Did anyone notice any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? You never know. Sometimes there's one, right? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. Thank you. Councillor Wong.
Yes, I move that council approve that the City of Grand Prairie enter into a contract with the Village of Hythe for regional inspection services. And in speaking to that briefly, we've already entered into contracts with other regional towns, and this is just another addition that will provide income for the city. And we heard from our administration that our inspection services department still has room for capacity to handle the extra business.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. So we'll open it up for discussion, debate, questions or comments. And I see Councillor Rice.
I just want to commend Mr. McMinn on his initiatives. I think his expertise as well as his willingness to explore these benefits the entire region, and I think it's something we need to be very proud of.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Further discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Wong, was there anything else from that set of minutes that you wanted to highlight?
I'd just like to point out that the committee also approved 4 development permits, 3 in the commercial industrial nature, 1 in residential. It's nice to see that part of business pick up within the city. Also, a motion was made to direct administration to provide a report regarding the waiving the permits, service fees, and levies associated with the Grand Prairie Women's Residents Association second stage transitional facility, and that's Odyssey House, and to also look at referring the sidewalk construction back for a report at a future meeting. I believe that the sidewalk construction could be absorbed through our sidewalk replacement program.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. So we'll move on from there to the Protective Services Committee meeting. I believe that was Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I move council receive the minutes of the Protective Services Committee meeting held May 24th, 2011.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Anyone notice any errors or omissions? I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That carries. Councillor Radburn.
Thank you. I move council give bylaw C1166A to amend the traffic bylaw first reading.
Okay, so we have a motion for first reading. No discussion or debate on first reading. We'll call for the vote. Thank you. Motion for first reading carries.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll continue. I would move council give bylaw C-1166A to amend the traffic bylaw second reading. And if I could now speak to it and provide a context to the bylaw amendments, that would be great. Thank you. So with the help of Protective Service Director, Acting City Manager, and former Bylaw Enforcement Manager, now Director of Community Services, they can maybe help with some of the background and questions. This came to Protective Services last meeting. This actually, this issue came up last council, so this is about midway through the last council. It's taken a couple of years actually to work through it and look at it and get it legalized, etc. And so it was finally brought to committee. I guess I'll start by saying that administration informed Protective Service Committee that the city receives about 300 to 350 calls per year related to RV parking. So that was part of the context as to why a previous council wanted to look at this. And the concerns center around 3 main issues. One is congestion, the second is safety, and third is the right to enjoy property. The amendments in this in this bylaw amendment cover 4 different areas. First of all, it restricts the on-street parking of recreational vehicles in residential districts. And it does this in 3 or 4 ways. First of all, you can park your RV only in a location completely adjoining the owner's residence. Secondly, you can park it for not more than 24 consecutive hours. Thirdly, this provision is only between April 11th and October 31st. And fourthly, you cannot detach a trailer from the vehicle when it's parked on a highway, except if used to transport dangerous goods. So basically, you can't detach your trailer if it's parked in front. So some of it, I think, is common sense-like. I guess in terms of adjoining your property, you're trying to limit parking in front of other people's property. The 24 consecutive hours, now it's 72, and so we're reducing that significantly to the 24, again, just to start limiting how long people can park RVs in front. I think the dates are quite similar. And the last one is to not detach. I think the background there, as the administrator has shared, is that once they become detached, the likelihood of them staying for a considerable length of time increases. So whether people start living in them or they find it, I guess, it's a little more work to move it. So if it's detached, if we find it remains attached, then it's more likely to be moved more quickly. And also the detaching, I guess, if there was an emergency, fire, et cetera, obviously having it detached is more of a challenge to get things out of there in case of emergency than if it isn't. This is not related to parking on your private property. So this doesn't affect that. As long you can park RV vehicles, you can detach your trailer on your own property, as long as it doesn't hang over or impede, come onto the sidewalk or the road. And that's already in place, so that won't be changed. This bylaw amendments don't contemplate any changes in that. The second part also includes provisions for pay by space. So this is a new, you can see the pay by space there, means that a portion of a street or off-street where parking is subject to charge and regulation in accordance with a payment terminal. And I think the library, our new library, is an example of where that will take place. And we're looking at other parking on the Montrose site being paid by space as well, as two examples. So we're gearing up so that we can deal with that. There are some housekeeping issues as well. A number of the ones on the first page, 214, 224, 225, those kind of are housekeeping. They're just bringing up to speed relative to the new, I guess, new legislation. And number 4, there are some traffic bylaw schedule updates in the areas of fines, in the area of dangerous good routes, truck routes, and speed limit updates. And so dangerous goods and truck routes, I think, include the annexation areas too now, so we can get ahead of there. It's updating the parking. Speed limits too, it provides, there's some areas that things have changed. New schools have developed, new areas of town. New issues have arisen in terms of some, for example, I think the College Road is one of the listed where we can now enforce. Airport Road, I think this allows us to enforce speed limits in those areas as well. So in essence, it covers restricting the on-street parking of recreational vehicles in residential districts, includes provisions for pay by space. There's some housekeeping issues, and there's some traffic bylaw schedule updates in this. The other comment that I'll make relative to this, as this question was pursued at the committee level, we're in kind of a middle of a season, so that could be problematic. And so the intent of administration would be using this RV year as a phase-in year, where we would educate and inform our community, our public, but these changes would be available, I guess, soon for that purpose, but also next year would take effect in terms of any potential enforcement. Also remember, this is not about having a RV parking patrol. This is sometimes as you we're not going through neighborhoods looking for this, but the reality is there are a number of community members do phone bylaw, and it does provide a tool for bylaw to follow up. with these, citing these changes in terms of encouraging moving the vehicle quicker, keeping it on your own property, not detaching trailers, those kind of things, so that we can indeed limit congestion, increase safety, and improve right to enjoy property. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. So we have a motion on the floor for second reading, and there is a lineup in the queues. So Councillor Monroe.
Thanks very much, Mayor Given. A couple of things. One for clarification, perhaps maybe Lauren or Gary can help me with this. I'm under the impression from the wording of the bylaw that you cannot detach the vehicle on any street, regardless of whether it's in front of your own property or not. Is that not accurate?
Councillor Radburn, or maybe administration can speak to that. Gary? Mr. Roth?
Your Worship, yes, certainly that was the intent, is that it would have to remain attached to a vehicle. That reasoning for that is it doesn't become it provides for more of a temporary solution for loading or unloading that RV.
Thank you. It's just that I believe, Lauren, you just mentioned that you could detach it in front of your own dwelling during your... No? Okay. I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, where I was going was that...
Sure, Councillor Radburn, if you would turn on your microphone, just to respond to the question.
I often see trailers detached on their driveways or on their own property. That's where I was going there.
Fair enough.
Councillor Monroe?
Thanks again, Mayor Given. I feel strongly that definitely this does need to be changed in order to address the issues that we do have with RV parking. However, there is a couple of points in there that I feel might be a little bit heavy-handed when it comes to this bylaw. Number one being the reduction in parking time allotted to RV parking from 72 hours to 24 hours. I think that it might be just a little bit too severe. We have quite a number of RVs in the town. Obviously, it's an RVing town. People like to get out and camp. And, you know, if you've got a busy camping weekend planned, sometimes 24 hours is not enough time to, I guess, prepare for your camping weekend. And, you know, I would suggest that perhaps maybe, well, 72 hours I feel is too long as well, but I think that 48 hours might be more of a middle ground. I think the other thing that two other items that I'd like to address in regards to that are the detaching of the trailer from a vehicle. I can certainly appreciate where it's coming from, that it might be a little bit more difficult to make the trailer movable if it is detached. However, the practicality of detaching or of not detaching your vehicle just doesn't make sense to me. If once again, if you're preparing for a camping weekend, you pull your trailer home on a Thursday night, or even a Friday night, and you have to run to Canadian Tire or Safeway and get some groceries. I'm not sure that people want to be hauling their trailer all the way across town when a much simpler solution might be to detach the trailer and go and do your errands. And then I think the only other issue of concern that I would have would be in the bylaw it states that that the recreational vehicle that is parked in front of a property must be registered to that property. I think that might limit, I guess, visitors. You know, you've got your parents-in-law or your brother or something like that coming up, and he's hauling a trailer, and you know, all of a sudden we're saying that no, you cannot allow him to park in front of your residence. I think the current bylaw already states that it is illegal for people to occupy the trailer. So I think that's already addressed. So I'm not sure why we would want to, I guess, limit it to where the trailer is to the residence that the trailer is registered to. As well, I understand that some people do have vehicles that are commercially registered that they may, or that their company owns, that they may park in front of their residence, and that may not be the residence on record for the registration. So that's some of the issues that I have with that. I would be prepared to make an amendment to the bylaw, or to the motion that's out there. Mayor Given, maybe you can direct me as to whether you want to have some more discussion about it before I make that amendment,
Sure.
or?
Well, I did see a couple other people in the queue. I see Councillor Rice and Councillor McLean. And so did you want to speak to the original motion, or would you be comfortable going ahead with the amendment? It's appropriate for you to introduce amendment, and we can discuss that, and then we'd move back onto the original motion, whatever the result was from the amendment. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I see that the city clerk has the amendment on written form that she's going to circulate to council, so everybody can see the specific changes that you're proposing.
Would you like me to read that aloud?
Sure, please.
Okay. I'll go ahead and read it in its entirety, I guess. So I'll make a motion to amend bylaw C1166A as follows. Number 1, replace section 8 with the following new section, which is subsection 27. Person may park a recreational vehicle, travel trailer, vehicle and travel trailer combination, or recreational vehicle and trailer combination on a highway in a residential district under the following: A, for not more than 48 consecutive hours. B, after the unit has been removed to an off-highway location for at least 24 hours, consecutive hours, it may be parked again on a highway. C, in such a manner so as not to cause or create an obstruction to prevent the safe passage of vehicles and pedestrians. And D, only between April 1st and October 31st. And then number 2, delete section 9 in its entirety, and that is, of course, dealing with the proposed subsection 28.1.
Which was the detaching trailers. Person shall not detach a trailer from a vehicle and park it on a highway. Is that correct?
That is correct, and it would just revert back to its original wording, which is let's see here, a person shall not detach a trailer from a vehicle and park it on a highway. In this section, a trailer shall not include a trailer that is used for the transportation of dangerous goods when parked in an area designated in Schedule 2, or be a travel trailer 10 meters or less in overall length, which is already existing in the bylaw.
Okay, okay. So I'll rule the motion to amend second reading in order, and if it's with the council members that are in the queue, I'm going to clear the queue, and then if anybody wants to speak, we'll be speaking to the amendment that Councillor Monroe has put forward. So I'm going to clear the queue, and I'll take discussion or debate on the amendment. Councillor Rice?
I'm just kind of puzzled, both in the amendment and in the original motion, why the April 1st to October 31st? It seems to me that parking an RV on the street in the winter would be doubly dangerous, because we usually have snow piled up to limit the width of the road already. So I'm surprised that limitation of April and October stays in there. Why it was in the first place? Could someone tell me the rationale?
Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. I see one head nodding, but Councillor Radburn does have his hand up. Your microphone's on, Councillor Radburn. Your microphone's
Good.
on.
Helen, I read this that you could only park between April and October, so any months out of that range, you can't park.
I think that's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor McLean, to the amendment proposed by Councillor Monroe.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I missed this meeting. I was on vacation, so I was going to ask a few of these questions myself, and I'm glad he brought this amendment. I have just one particular on this, is as well, adjourn to your property. What happens if you live in a cul-de-sac and you got to go to the other side? So I want to make sure that could be allowed as well, because there's a lot of cul-de-sacs. So, because you're saying you got to park at your property, but in cul-de-sacs and in some subdivisions you can't do that. You have to park on the other side. So I would like that to be included as well.
Okay.
That could be changed.
So I think Councillor Monroe's motion removes the requirement to park in front of your own property, which would answer the question that you're talking about. Is that correct, Councillor Monroe? Am I reading that properly?
I'm wondering about that one.
Councillor Monroe? Councillor Monroe's amendment removes the requirement for any trailer to be parked in front of the registered owner's property. Is that what I heard, Councillor Monroe?
That is correct, because it would revert back to the original bylaw.
Which said that you could park it anywhere on the street. Or
Yes, just
within
in,
certain
just in
locations?
those specific sections that I cited.
Okay, so Councillor Monroe's motion to amend does actually deal with that. Councillor Wong?
Okay, first of all, I would like to ask that the motion be split for the two parts.
Okay, so,
And
sorry, Councillor Wong, so part 1 and part 2 will split? Okay, okay. So we'll motion, sorry, that's a request, and we'll approve that, and so we'll, when we come to vote, we'll vote on the two parts separately.
Okay,
Councillor Wong?
and second of all, I think that 27.1 in the original bylaw amendment should have just been changed that, that you can't park a recreational vehicle in front of someone else's property without their permission, or something like that, because I don't like the idea of forcing residents to lodge complaints. I think that it's better to have the person who owns the RV ask for permission rather than putting the onus on the person who has this giant RV parked in front of their property. So I don't know how to deal with that right now, unless I make an amendment to the amendment, but it could get really convoluted here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can, I think we can go a couple layers deep, so if you'd care to propose an amendment to the amendment, that's fair game.
Okay, I'd like to reintroduce 27.1
No,
back in there.
So just a motion
Yeah.
to amend
Okay.
the amendment. Yeah.
Sure. Make a motion to amend the amendment to include, to add 27.1 back in, but change the wording so that it reads, a person may park a recreational vehicle on a highway in a residential district only in a location adjoining, maybe I could use a little bit of help with that from the Intergovernmental Services Director. The intent is to allow someone to park an RV in front of the property that they don't own as long as they have that owner's permission.
If I could make a suggestion, and I would be happy to be aided by administration, but a person may park a recreational vehicle on a highway in a residential district in a location adjoining the owner's residence or with written permission of
the property owner.
Of the property adjoining the parking location.
See why it's so difficult.
Yeah, the adjoining property owning, yeah. Sure, Intergovernmental Services
Just a
Director?
question, would you be looking for permission of the property owner or the property occupant?
Councillor Wong?
Occupant would be fine, I believe.
Okay. Okay. Occupant? Okay. So, Jeanette, if you have if you could kind of read that back. I think that's the first time she's ever said no. Okay, so Councillor Wong made a motion to amend the amendment proposed by Councillor Monroe to reinstate section 27.1, and it would read something along the lines of, a person may park a recreational vehicle on a highway in a residential district in a location completely adjoining the owner's residence or with the written permission of the adjoining property's occupant.
That would be sufficient.
Does that capture the spirit of what you're looking for, Councillor Wong?
Yes, it does.
And then I guess my question would be maybe to the Intergovernmental Services Director, does that appear to be written to meet what we're trying to do? Or maybe for Mr. Roth?
Without delay or extenuating this discussion further, there may be some concerns about definition of what an occupant is, but that's something that administration may be wanting to deal with at a later point in time too.
Okay. If I could, just looking at Councillor Monroe's amendment, perhaps it'd make more sense to add these as subs under those. So E and F. a person may park a recreational vehicle, travel, blah, 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 blah. And then you get down to the bottom. E would be provided that it is completely adjoining the owner's residence. And F, with the written permission of the property owner, adjoining property owner. That'll clarify, because if we do it the way Councillor Wong was suggesting, we would add in 27.1, and then we would repeat basically the same wording in 27, the next section. So I would just look to council to see if that maybe captures a little bit more cleanly. Councillor Wong?
I'd be happy to take that as a friendly amendment. Yeah. To the amendment.
I feel like we're in the movie Inception. Okay, so Councillor Wong, so we'll have those actually for intergovernmental services. Do you see how we're meaning that? Councillor Wong is proposing them as subs of, so 27, E and F. And E would be the part pertaining to basically having the trailer adjoin your own personal property, and F would be having it having express written permission from the property owner that it is adjoining. Okay.
I have it.
Okay. I see. Okay. So on Councillor Wong's amendment, Councillor Rice.
I really split on this. The thought that, you know, my neighbor could haul his brother-in-law's motorhome and plunk it out in front of my window doesn't thrill me to no end. And I look to Mr. Roth or Mr. Walker, which I was surprised when Mr. Roth spoke that he didn't sort of. You don't own the street in front of your house. You have no right to say who could park there. You know, if you happen to have neighbors who get a lot of company in their cars park in front of your house, you can't phone bylaw and say, go tell them they can't park there, because it's not yours. And I'm just not sure about the legality of saying you have to go ask the guy who doesn't own that street if you can borrow it. I would be real reluctant about that one.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. So we'll go still open for discussion and debate on Councillor Wong's proposal. Councillor Monroe?
Thanks, Mayor Given. I was just going to make the comment that what Councillor Wong has, his amendment, to me, it does make sense because it is one of those things where you don't want to run into a situation where, you know, you have your neighbors encroaching in front of your property, and I think that it captures that by getting the written permission, or gives you a vehicle of having the written permission. So with that being said, I would be in support of his amendment.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Rice?
I guess my concern too is that quite the opposite, is that you may be setting up a lot of neighborhood dissension if I go to my neighbor and say, hey, is it okay if and he goes, no. You know, I'm sure that I'm not going to have warm and fuzzies of that neighbor for a very long time. So, and so, you know, he just may be more courageous than most people who every bone in their body would be dying to say no. So,
Okay. I see Councillor McLean in the queue.
I'm going to go with Councillor Rice on this one. You park your vehicles on there, they got, in 48 hours, it's going to be the other way. We work hard, we play hard, and I think general rule, I'll be voting against this one.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Councillor Radburn? Gotcha.
Again, we're given. I will not be supporting the amendment either. I think Helen's got some common sense here. I think right now what'll happen with the initial proposal would be that if you can't do it within your adjoining property, you're gonna go to your neighbor and ask. You shouldn't, or you're just gonna let them know. But I don't think we need to formalize it by any written consent or anything. It's like she said, it's not your property. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Okay, so last round for discussion or debate on Councillor Wong's proposed amendment. Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote on the amendments proposed by Councillor Wong. Councillor,
can Jeanette read it, please?
what if she says no again?
I want to know, we all need to know what we're voting on, for sure.
The motion reads, moved by Councillor Wong that council amend the amendment to add E, only be in a location completely adjoining the owner's residence, and F, with the written permission of the adjoining property occupant.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we've had the motion read back. I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion does not carry. So we'll go back to discussion and debate on Councillor Monroe's original amendment, which we will vote on in two parts. So we'll open for discussion and debate on part 1 of Councillor Monroe's amendment. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. So, part 1, help me, Justin or Jeanette. Part 1, the only change to the proposed motion or amendments from committee is that we're going from 24 hours to 48 hours. Is that correct? Or what else? What else?
Sure. Councillor Monroe, can you answer that?
Thanks, Mayor Given. We're talking about two different things. Yes, 24 hours to 48 hours is one of them.
Yeah.
The other one deals with detachment of the trailer in front of, or on the streets, I guess. I'd like to see, once again, that we do allow that the vehicles be detached from the trailer.
Sorry, just for clarification, Councillor Monroe, your amendment actually removes 27, basically amalgamates 27.1 and 27.2 of the original bylaw, or sorry, of the proposed bylaw, and removes the requirement for a trailer to be parked adjacent to the owner's property. That's for me, that's the key. Right? That's the key.
That eliminates that.
Your proposed amendment says that I can park my trailer in front of Lauren's house.
That's right.
Thanks, Mayor Given. Yes, I suppose it does, but the intent being that you could have, that's not my intent.
Okay.
My intent is so that if you had guests visiting, that they could park their vehicle in front of your house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
So if I continue? I'm pretty flexible in terms of the 72 to 48. I think that my interest is reducing at 72. But in terms of the trailer, I do think that was an important part of the amendments. I think we were the only one of 11 municipalities that were surveyed that allowed detached trailers on a highway in front of your house, or the roadway in front of your house. And I think there were, emasculate's not the right word, but I think we're not moving towards the concerns of residents relative to congestion and right of property and safety. I think that piece of the detached trailer is, for me, an important part of the amendment. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Upton. Councillor Wong?
Okay, I can't support this amendment the way it's been put forward now because of the removal of that 27.1, which basically allows anyone to park an RV in front of anyone else's house without having to ask permission or anything. I think that that's not a good practice. It just also creates bad relationships with your neighbors, and it's going to cause people to call bylaw. And I actually preferred it with the amendment, and that's one thing I should have said that before we voted, was by defeating it now that we have a weakened amendment that I can't support. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Given. Well, is this still in two sections when we vote in one and then two?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, in the first section, what I think is really good here is you got 48 hours, I'm just talking number 1, to move it, and then you can't just move it 10 feet and say, done it. You got to take it out, go camping, and you got to be gone 24 hours. I think this is a very good add-on here as well. So, some people say I can just move it if they mark my tires. They got to actually go camping, not just park it here on the street. I think that's really good.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Councillor Gustafson?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. I'm a little torn here too. Some places you cannot park if you leave it attached, you're either going to be parking in front of your own driveway or in front of your neighbor's house and driveway. So there's a lot of situations where this isn't going to work both ways. So I'm not really sure which way to. Some small houses and long trailers, you're not going to be able to park in front of your own house. So.
That was mentioned at committee as well. Okay. Any further discussion or debates? We'll vote on Councillor Radburn.
Well, I think just in terms of Alex, there is the alternative. You can detach your trailer on your driveway. So there is a way to detach your trailer. If you wanted to go do something as Justin was suggesting, there still is that option, right? And in terms of covering, I think you go to your neighbors. If you got in a situation where you had a long thing and it covered your property and your driveway and a little bit, I don't see that as particularly problematic. So I don't think it's going to be covering and you would, as a good neighbor, you would touch base with your neighbor, I would hope.
Okay, I see Councillor Rice in the queue.
We're getting, I think, a little, well, silly springs to mind. We say we want to reduce congestion. That's one of the reasons we're doing this. But at the same time, we've got it in there, you can't stay longer than 48 hours and then you have to move it, okay? So I don't really care. If you're a trailer owner and you want to detach and you want to unhook it and hook it back up again, you just go for it. It's got nothing to do with me. You want congestion on your street, just have some guy backing that RV into the driveway so he can detach his truck, and you'll tie up that street for the best drivers that I've ever seen with those. Take like 20 minutes to get it backed into the driveway. So, I think they're not keeping it there longer than 48 hours. We don't care if they detach it or not. So.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Councillor McLean? Councillor, sorry, your microphone went off there.
Hey, Mayor Gibbon, thank you. I'm speaking to part two, which I'm leaning towards Councillor Gustin, and what Councillor Radburn said, you can hear it, but a lot of new subdivisions, the trailer park hitch sticks out in the sidewalk, and that's illegal right there with children on bikes and everything. So as far as I'm concerned, I'll be in favor of number 2 as well, because you can take your truck off, they got 48 hours to move it, and I think it's safer that way. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor McLean. So unless there's one last opportunity, anybody else have anything further to say? The person who moved the amendment, I'll give you an opportunity to close if you'd like. Councillor Monroe? Sorry, Councillor Wong, you had one further?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. I just wanted to clarify that if you vote in favor of this amendment, you're not only voting for the 48 hours, but you're also saying that a person could actually move that trailer over to their neighbors for the next 24 hours and then move it back.
No, it says to an off-highway location.
Well, oh, okay. No, that's fair enough. But you are also striking 27.1, which says that anyone can park a recreational vehicle in front of anyone else's property.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. So Councillor Monroe will give you an opportunity to close.
Thanks, Mayor Gibbon. I'm assuming at this point I've exhausted all other amendments to the amendments that are amending this?
Yeah, we're closing. You can't amend your own motion anyways.
All right. Anyways, I won't go on much longer with this, quite honestly, Mayor Gibbon. I think that we've already addressed a lot of the issues here. I'm pretty sure that everyone knows how I feel about this. I just wanted to see if perhaps maybe we weren't as heavy-handed with some of the restrictions here. And my concern is that not only what's already been stated, but it will become a bylaw. And as far as gray area is concerned, if you've got a trailer that's longer than your property with your vehicle attached, whether you have your neighbor's permission or not, Alex, it will be illegal to park as such. So, thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, so on the split motion, we'll vote on part 1. which was to replace Section 8 with the wording that Councillor Monroe provided. So I'll call for the vote on Part 1.
I'd like it read, please.
Okay, can we have Part 1 of Councillor Monroe's amendment read back for us, please?
Moved by Councillor Monroe, Council amend bylaw C 1166A as follows. Number 1, replace Section 8 with the following new section. 27, a person may park a recreational vehicle, travel trailer, vehicle and travel trailer combination, or recreation vehicle and trailer combination on a highway in a residential district, A, for not more than 48 consecutive hours, B, after the unit has been removed to an off-highway location for at least 24 consecutive hours, it may be parked again on a highway, C, in such a manner so as not to cause or create an obstruction or prevent the safe passage of vehicles and pedestrians, and D, only between April 1st and October 31st.
Okay, so there's the motion read back. That's the section that we're going to be voting on, and I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. So we'll move on to the second point, which was to delete Section 9 in its entirety, which in Section 9 was speaking to detached trailers. And so, Councillor Rice?
Do we need that? I'm not sure we need that. The part we just passed said, may park a recreational vehicle, travel trailer, vehicle and travel trailer combination. So it says you have your option of parking the recreational vehicle or a combination recreational vehicle and or recreational vehicle and vehicle combination. So we've already said you can just park it. We just voted to say you could. It doesn't say that you have to be hooked up.
I would say that if we don't vote for point number 2, then Section 9 would stay in as proposed.
Okay.
When Councillor Radbourne moved it originally, and it will say that you shall not
Okay.
attach a travel trailer. And so really, your interpretation is probably correct.
Yeah.
If we did the one, we probably have to do the other.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? Okay?
So now
so
what we're
discussion or
voting on
debate?
is to remove that section.
That's correct.
So it wouldn't have to be hooked up. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So discussion debate, Councillor Monroe?
Thanks, Mayor Given. Maybe to answer Councillor Rice's, or to give some more information for Councillor Rice, if we do delete that section as proposed, it would revert back to the original bylaw, which states that a person shall not detach a trailer from a vehicle and park it on a highway. In this section, a trailer should not include a trailer used for the transportation of dangerous goods when parked in the area designated in Schedule 2, or a travel trailer 10 meters or less in overall length. So you cannot detach a trailer, for example, that's over 10 meters in length, or I guess that's 30 feet.
So I just want to be clear, Councillor Monroe, your intention then is to remove the amendments to Section 9 and leave it as it originally stands in the bylaw today?
That is correct.
Okay, so you're not actually moving to delete Section 9?
The amendment.
From the amendment, yes.
From the amending bylaw, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the clarification. Okay. Okay, so we've all got it clear? Discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. So now that we've got the amendments out of the way, we'll vote on the bylaw, the bylaw amendment as amended. Second reading of the bylaw amendment as amended. Any further discussion or debate on second reading as amended? This is your opportunity, if Councillor Radburn.
I won't be supporting, I think that we watered down this so that I'm not sure if we're,
Sorry, Councillor Radburn, I think you can vote against your own motion, but I don't believe you can speak against it.
we're voting, but it's not mine anymore with all the amendments, is it?
It is. Unfortunately,
bad.
Unfortunately, Councillor Radburn, you made the motion. You certainly can vote against the motion, but you can't speak against it. So we're on to voting for Councillor Radburn's original motion as amended. Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. Okay, and that motion does carry. Councillor Radburn? Or Councillor Radburn, if you'd like to.
Just the rest of, just other highlights from the.
Sorry, Councillor Radburn, that was only second reading, so.
Okay.
So we could.
So let's.
Councillor Radburn, if you wished, you could ask one of your council colleagues to make a motion to have third reading and for third reading if you wished. Okay, Councillor Rice?
That council has third reading of bylaw C-1166A.
As amended. Okay, so a motion to have third reading here tonight. This motion must be unanimous, but it is debatable as to the merits of having third reading here tonight. Would anybody care to make a motion, or sorry, discussion or debate to the merits of having third reading here tonight? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote.
End the misery, vote for it.
Thank you, and that motion fails, so we will not have third reading, and it'll come back to a future council meeting. Okay.
Wow.
Councillor Radburn, was there anything else that you wanted from that committee meeting?
I have,
Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Just one other highlight. We had department updates, and we've also directed administration to prepare a bylaw amendment to prohibit the feeding of wild game within city limits. So that'll come back to our committee at a later date. And that was a referral from council.
Thanks very much. Councillor Radburn, did anyone have anything else for Councillor Radburn? Councillor Rice?
Just a question as to what BEEP is, Bylaw Enforcement Education Program.
Councillor Radburn?
Each month, or different months, bylaw has a different focus for their enforcement. And
Oh, so that'd be the seat belts one. There's a
Yeah.
school zones
School
next
zones,
month.
whatever.
Okay, so do you get in, does the committee get input into their focuses, or do they just pick them out of a hat or something?
we always have the opportunity to suggest focuses, but typically it's been, the department has decided on those areas to focus on.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Radburn. Councillor Rice? So we'll move on to the Community Development Committee, and Councillor Gustafson, I believe that was you.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll move the council receive the minutes from the Community Development Committee meeting held May 24th, 2011.
Thanks very much. Did anyone notice any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Gustafson?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll move that.
Councillor Radburn? Yep.
4.1.
Councillor Radburn?
I have a conflict of interest, so I'll excuse myself for this.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Radburn has declared a conflict of interest with item 9.4.1 and will leave the council chambers. Please carry on, Councillor Gustafson.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll move that council approve tender T 16410 for fitness equipment for the Aquatics and Wellness Center to Fit Systems in the amount of $3,582, Cybex in the amount of $432,640.28, Ernie's in the amount of $82,490, and Techno Gym in the amount of $5,465.09 for the total of $524,177.37 exclusive of GST as the lowest bids meeting specifications.
Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. Discussion or debate on the motion? Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. Councillor Gusson, the question I had is this going to fulfill the whole fitness area? Like this will do for everything in that area for lifting weights and everything like that? Or will there be more?
I believe it's pretty close, but there is some more.
Sure,
If
maybe
Gary
the
can help us
Director
out
of
here.
Community Services?
Your worship, certainly this is the biggest portion of that filling that facility. There will be another component that will be a joint partnership with a local disabled persons organization. Try not to say the name here. That will look at providing access for handicapped individuals to do some training opportunities, and there will also be a need for purchasing some equipment used specifically for fitness classes and those types of things. But this will take in the biggest part of the wellness and weight room type of facility.
Okay, thanks very much. Councillor Crokin?
Thanks, Mayor Gibbon. I just wanted to know if the 524,000, that's within the budget?
Director of Community Services?
Your worship, the budget for fitness equipment is $650,000, so that leaves just under $100,000 if there is still some remaining equipment needed that could fit within that budget. So it's certainly well under the existing budget.
Thanks, Mayor Gibbon.
Thanks very much. And Councillor McLean, did I see in the queue again?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon, and thank you, Councillor Crokin, for bringing that up. So if there's extra 100,000, we always hear that, but maybe there's somebody coming in helping with a disability, different machine, fitness centers. I'm wondering if there's that extra that would go to that area as well. So that's just something I'm making a quote on.
Sorry, so.
If there's an extra
Councillor
$100,000,
Mhm.
that it just doesn't get over here, it stays in the fitness area, and it stays maybe for people with disabilities and help them in whichever way it can. Yes, well, I'm just making a recommendation myself,
Okay.
if I can throw that out there.
Well, you can.
Make amendment?
Well.
No, not amendment.
No, we're awarding a tender for
Yeah.
specific items. What we heard from administration is that there's money left over. And that there may be money left over. There's still some equipment to purchase. And so I suppose if there was an issue of additional accessibility options that you want to pursue, then that would be something to refer to Community Development Committee or to put on an agenda in the future. Okay?
Maybe I should have put that to Councillor Guston.
Okay.
Pardon?
On the one, if there is extra money for fitness, that we don't lose it out and it goes to centers to help people with disabilities or make it more accessible in areas in the new facility.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so that was the motion to award tenders T-16-400-10. Any further discussion or debate? Councillor Wong?
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Gibbon. To Councillor Gustafson, or our Director of Community Services, I just wanted to know if all four proponents were aware that their tenders could be split up.
For the Director of Community Services?
Your worship, certainly that was part of the tender documents, is that the tenders could be split up and broken into various pieces of equipment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Crokin?
Thanks, Mayor Gibbon. I guess mine was almost like Councillor Wong. Did everybody in Grand Prairie have a chance to bid on this? Because I see some of these people are from out of town.
Oh, yeah.
Director of Community Services?
Your worship, certainly. Certainly it was a public tender, and opportunities were certainly available for local bidders.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, further discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Could we please call back Councillor Radburn? And Councillor Gustafson?
Thank you very much, Mayor Gibbon. I'll move the council approve the Social Sustainability Framework Priority Outcome Identification Process and the FCSS Decision and Recommendation Funding Process.
Okay, thanks very much. Discussion or debate on the motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Gustafson, is there anything else you wanted to cover from that set of minutes?
Just briefly, yeah, we had 3 delegations, Meals on Wheels, Seniors Outreach, and the Grand Prairie Friendship Center. Very good volunteer organizations and very well needed and very well used groups in our community, and very happy to have them here. We reallocated a little bit of money to the tennis courts and the Legion track. And that's about all for that meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thanks
Any
very much,
questions?
Councillor Gustafson. I think the next set of minutes was yours as well, actually, the Pursuit of Excellence Committee.
Yes, Mayor Given. Thank you all. Thank you, Mayor Given. I'll move that council receive the minutes of the Pursuit of Excellence Committee meeting held May 24th, 2011.
Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. Did anyone notice any errors or omissions in that set of minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Gustafson, anything that you want to highlight from the set of minutes?
Yes, thanks, Mayor Given. We approved some coach development funding for hockey here in Grand Prairie, three of those, and we briefly discussed in great detail, we discussed our guidelines for reviewing and how we hand out the funding for the athletes, and we didn't really change too much here. And then we had a brief discussions about the Arctic Winter Games Legacy Fund review, and this fund is designed to be used as bid host seed funding for anything that we'd like to host in our region. So it's very important for people to know, and hopefully we can give out some host seed funding in the near future. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. So then we'll move on to items of correspondence, of which there were none. Delegation business, we did have two. The first was from the Enbridge Northern Gateway and the Northern Gateway Alliance presentation. Councillor Rice?
I move that we refer this to administration for a report on the implications of their request.
Okay, maybe we can just say to the appropriate committee.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Okay, okay, so a motion to refer to the appropriate committee their request for the City of Grand Prairie to participate in the hearings.
Yeah, and the level of,
And
yeah.
level of participation.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Councillor Rice had a motion to refer this to the appropriate committee. We'll call the question. Thank you. That motion carries. And then the second was the presentation on Reading University. I see Councillor Wong in the queue.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Given. I move that we refer the Grade 3 Reading University request to administration to prepare a report on options for support to be presented at the next CDC meeting. And in speaking to that, my motion is that City Council affirm that it will do some support, whether it be in kind or funding, and if the report is to come with a funding suggestion, that it identify a source as well.
Okay, so we have a motion to refer specific to the next CDC committee meeting. Any, excuse me, discussion or debate on the motion?
Is that, maybe?
Councillor Rice?
Is that early? And like, CDC, does it meet once a month? And if so,
Yeah. I see the next CDC meeting, I think, is on June 21st.
okay, does that give administration time? That's like a week from today. That's like, so what are you doing in your spare time?
Okay. Well, I guess that's the point. Typically, when we refer things, we refer them to the appropriate
Yeah.
standing committee, and it does take some time. Councillor Wong's motion is specific about that deadline, and
Okay.
that may make it difficult. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Further discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Motion carries. Okay, so that deals with our delegation business, and we had no notices of motion. Council member reports, council has been away for a bit, but there were a couple, and I see Councillor Wong, you had Grand Prairie Regional Tourism Association.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Given. On May 19th, Grand Prairie Regional Tourism Association held a board meeting. A few points of interest came out of that. On the evening of Thursday, June 30th, the Tourism Association is hosting a Canadian Citizenship Reaffirmation Ceremony at Centre 2000. And this is a short symbolic ceremony for all citizens to reaffirm their commitment to Canada It's a really nice event, and it starts at 9 p.m. on June 30th. There is no cost to attend this event. This is different than in other years where the event was held on the morning of July 1st. Also on June 30th, following the reaffirmation ceremony at 10:30, at Center 2000, we'll be holding a outdoor movie theater event. You'll need to bring your own lawn chair and a blanket for the movie. Admission is by donation, and stacks will be available for purchase. And finally, on midnight that night, you'll have a great seat for fireworks that will be on at Muskosipi Park. So if you go out to the movies, you can just stay seated and you'll have a great seat there. I guess the only other thing I do want to mention is July 1st at Center 2000, the Tourism Association, Travel Alberta, and the Heritage Discovery Centres will host a mini carnival in the parking lot, which is something they do on an annual basis. There'll be some rides, a bouncy castle, balloon animals, face painting, a scavenger hunt, music, cake, and prizes. So it's going to be a great event to bring the whole family out to. And I encourage everyone to get out there between 1 and 6 p.m. on July 1st following the Canada Day Parade.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Councillor Rice, did you have a report?
I just wanted to very quickly do a Aquaterra. Just remind council that next week Aquaterra will be holding its annual general meeting. They will also be doing a swearing in of the new members of the board, and the board will shift to be comprised totally of members of the business community after a rather successful search. So big change there next week.
And there is also an opportunity, this is an opportunity for council members to meet the new board members. Not all of them are from our community, and so a good opportunity for council members to meet those folks that are going to be representing us on the Aquaterra board. Thanks very much, Councillor Rice. And Councillor Wong, I believe you had the Wapiti Corridor Planning Group.
Great. On June 8th, the Wapiti Corridor Planning Society did hold a board meeting. Just wanted to let council know that we are continuing to meet with stakeholder groups to review the draft plan and obtain additional input from those groups. We hope to meet with everyone by the end of summer and incorporate all the input and then start with public open houses in the fall. We're starting to build a communications plan as well, which will not only help us get that information of the plan out to the users of the Wapiti Corridor area, but to reinforce the message that the plan has been created with input from as many user groups as possible, and that the intent is not to take away the rights of current landowners or leaseholders. The society is attempting to organize and coordinate all uses within the sub-areas of the Wapiti Corridor and offer best practices within a plan that we hope the provincial government will adopt and help direct the development of the Wapiti Corridor area for the next 50 years. So the presentation to City Council is scheduled for June 21st at the regularly scheduled CDC meeting, so I'm hoping to see a bunch of my colleagues at Council at that meeting.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Wong. I believe that was all of the council member agencies, boards and committees reports, and we'll move on to council member reports, and maybe Councillor Wong will start right there with you and move this way.
Sure. I just wanted to report on, first of all, FCM, the convention from June 3rd to the 6th. I believe that the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Convention brought over 2,000 delegates from all across Canada, and the association advocates on behalf of all municipalities to federal government or to the federal government on a large spectrum of topics. I was able to attend some sessions on water management and also on efficiencies in water treatment plants. Also sat in on a session on public-private partnerships, specifically in regards to brownfield development. I was really interesting. Also went on a few tours and got to speak with some people on LED road lighting, which I thought is something that we could be looking at implementing in our city for all future developments. LED road lighting has the potential to save in electrical costs up to 60% of what we're currently paying. Also wanted to point out that the leaders of the opposition parties also addressed the delegates in keynote speeches. It's also important to note that FCM has been advocating to the federal parties on keeping that Building Canada program, which the City of Grand Prairie has been able to access for approximately 2 or 3 years ago. But that program was developed to not only help help the municipalities in Canada get over the little bit of the recession, but to help tackle that $123 billion infrastructure deficit which is in Canada. The proposed federal budget that was currently released includes future funding in that Building Canada program, and I believe that the City of Grande Prairie needs to prepare for future project submissions should the federal budget pass. Other than that, I wanted to just say that it was a really enjoyable conference, and I think that the organizers did an incredible job with it. Going through the rest of my roundtable report, May 17th, I attended the Barbecue for Public Works Week at the City Service Center. On June 9th, I attended the open house for Premier Ed Stelmach. On June 10th, I was at City Hall for a tender opening. Also on June 10th, it was Robert Carroll's birthday. He's an employee with the Transportation Services, and he did an amazing birthday run. He turned 50 that year. He decided he was going to run 50 kilometers. So he did 4 big loops of the city. I was able to join him on one of those loops, but there was no way I could handle the 50 kilometers. Later on June 10th, I also attended the Relay for Life. June 11th, I was at the grand opening for the training facility at the Pete Eager Fire Hall, and I have to say that that's just an amazing training facility. It's basically a mock-up of a house, and the firefighters will have the opportunity to practice their search and rescue inside an environment which is very similar to a house going up in smoke. There's absolutely zero visibility in there, and we got a chance. Members of council, Councillor Radburn and Councillor Rice, who were there, got a chance to stand inside that building with the mock smoke coming in, and you can see how challenging it would be to be inside a building burning up like that. They can also crank up the heat in that building to simulate what you would feel like in a fire. And we also got a chance to see the thermal imaging unit, which I thought was really neat. It basically lets you see all the furniture and the people inside the burning building, clear as day. So I thought that was fantastic. Finally, on June 11th, I attended the Highland Games at Macklin Field.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wong. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon, as well. I attended the FCM convention in Halifax, and my whole family went down, and we used the vacation beforehand, a little bit after the convention. I was quite impressed. It was the first time I attended. Got to meet the mayor of Calgary, and he was well represented there for his city. He was everywhere. I couldn't believe he was everywhere. Went to municipal twinning, helping you nurture your economic opportunities, just like Grande Prairie has with Grande Prairie, Texas, and New Mexico. But something I got out of this was within Canada, there was a town in Vancouver that was became twinning with a town in Quebec in Gaspé part, and because of their cooperation, when they had the separatist vote in '95, 78% voted not to stay in Canada, but that town 6% voted to stay in Canada. So I think cooperation maybe within a city, within our country, might be a good thing down the road. And also was about twinning regional, like Cape Breton is divided in 2 areas now in Nova Scotia, and they combined a lot of areas, and I thought that was very interesting. So it was not just about sister cities, it was also bringing regions together. Another one was Housing First, that breaking the costly cycle of chronic homelessness. I thought that was really rewarding, and there was an awful lot to take on that one. And I think Alberta, from that alone, I think in Canada we got a 10-year plan, and that is major. I don't think the rest of Canada has that. Ontario is doing very well in different areas, but I have to bring that about. As well, the Municipal Expo Trade Show was really tremendous. There was some things that Councillor Wong said about the LED lighting, which interested me as well, but there was also something that was lacking there, which I think Council is bringing up about the solar lighting. I'm hoping on crosswalks, which instead of they were saying 250,000 per crosswalk, we could have solar lighting, 20,000 per lighting, 40, maybe 60,000 per crosswalk. It could be solar powered on future sites without digging the ground up. So I think there's future advancement of looking in that area. And as well, I attended Premier Ed Stelmach in town. The Chamber of Commerce does an amazing job. Since I became councillor, I see more and more of this in the city of Grande Prairie. And he is, as David Cook said, very approachable and very talkative. And I had a good talk with him, and I thought it was very rewarding. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor McLean. Councillor O'Toole?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon.
On May 17th, that particular week, I attended a number of city public work events. On the 21st of May, I attended the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Veterans biannual provincial convention. I gave opening remarks on behalf of yourself, and I also laid a wreath at the cenotaph and joined the parade with them. I also attended the fire hall on Saturday. I was there early in the morning, and they had an opportunity for a number of businesses that donated equipment or time or supplies, and including those are Smash and Sons. They did site preparation. Dale Nadiskin and Concrete Service, they did some concrete placement and finishing. Totem Building Supplies donated the building package, and Windsor Plywood donated many other items. And they had a member of each one of those companies put on a fire suit for the day and learn about being a firefighter, and exactly what Mr. Wong had suggested, that they, the scary tactics of being in a building and not knowing where you're at and having to learn how to feel yourself around and have the partnership that you have to have, the bond that you have to have with fellow employees as a firefighter is incredible. And so they tried to instill those skills onto these other people. I had to leave early, and I went to the Troy Drysdale golf tournament in Grovedale. That was the final one, and over the years, donations have been made to the EMS of over $100,000, and it's counting. And that money goes towards the helping of EMS students over the years. So that's my report.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Toole. Councillor Radbourne?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. It's been a month, so a lot has happened, so bear with me, please. May 17th, I attended a continuing care in Grand Prairie area for today and tomorrow. It was hosted by the Grand Prairie Regional College and talked about continuing care, gaps, services, and how colleges, secondary institutions can help support research and information so that we can, as a province, continue to develop a plan to take care of those who need those kinds of accommodations and services. I also went to the Highland Park Community Safety Committee Development meeting that day. May 18th, I went to the Public Works Week Downtown Demo. I thought that was a positive change in Public Works Week activities rather than having the tour of the our service center. I think actually having, when I was there, grade 2 students from Hillside came and became became engaged in terms of the work that Public Works, our staff were doing. Also, I went to an info session with a number of council to Dawson Creek. May 19th, we had an information session with Grand Cache Council. May 24th, Stompede Breakfast at Duke's. June 3rd to 6th, I was at FCM along with a number of council. It's been reported on quite well by others. June 7th, a meeting with James Manor residents as the Grand Spirit Foundation rep. June 8th, ATCO Service Center, luncheon and launch of their new service center project. June 9th, Chamber luncheon with Premier Stelmach. And also I attended the Community Village South Avondale Community Safety Committee development meeting. June 10th, Alberta Freemasons. I attended their changeover meeting event. And at that time, along with Chris Turnmeyer from Wembley and Deputy Reeve Harp from the county and Dinosaur Museum reps, we attended a dedication, cornerstone dedication ceremony that they will sponsor as we move and have our dinosaur museum. And I attended their banquet that night as well. Also on June 10th, I attended the Graffiti Wipeout Volunteer Appreciation, was able to say a few words to the volunteers. We had about 84 volunteers who helped with Graffiti Wipeout Week. And had a pizza and certificates, so a note that I think over 70 of the 84 were youth. So kudos to our youth for becoming positively engaged in those activities to make Grand Prairie a better place. And June 11th, I also attended the fire department training facility official opening and ribbon cutting. And just kudos to the firefighters for the project, for, as Kevin suggested, those businesses who donated, and those representatives from those businesses who agreed to participate in the activity. That's a facility that we're going to be able to use for many, many years. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Radbourne. Councillor Gustafson?
Thank you, Mayor Given. I attended the Grand Prairie Stampede here in Grand Prairie. I was able to give away the bike at the calf scramble on behalf of the city of Grand Prairie. It's always fun to see a bunch of kids trying to chase a little calf around, and it's very exciting to see them smiles on their faces. So thanks to the city for giving the bike away. And I attended RFP for some lease space at the multiplex. I attended with Mayor Given the kickoff to Graffiti Wipeout Week and helped him paint the wall and his shoes. I also was fortunate enough to go for lunch with the Chamber of Commerce and Premier Ed Stelmach. The salute to him, and happy for all his hard work over the years. On June 11th here in Grand Prairie, I attended a Ride for Dad, prostate awareness cancer from Grand Prairie to Dawson, over to Spirit River, and then back to Grand Prairie. I was able to ride with some city staff, Steve Boyne, Rick Hanvold, Norm Jacob, Seth Mathias, and Tim Wood. Thanks to the organizers there for putting on a great event, first annual. And later on that evening, I attended Tennille's album release here at the Grand Prairie College. Sold out, and just an amazing little entertainer. I can't say enough about representing Grand Prairie and the places she's going to go in the future. Good luck to her, and thanks for picking Grand Prairie to grow up and start her future. Yeah, and that's about all. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Gustafson. Councillor Croghan?
Thanks, Mayor Given. In May 17th, I went to the barbecue at the City Service Centre to kick off Public Works Week, and it was an excellent week to do it like that. The end of May 19th, I met with Dawson Creek. May 20th, Grand Cache Council. And also, I was with other members of council at the FCM. And the one very interesting workshop was the Sweden experience with nuclear power. And I have brought back a complete package from them of information, as we need to know more about alternative forms of generating electricity, cleaner forms rather than just the conventional way we're doing it now. The mayor from Pickerington, Ontario spoke about the positive effects in his town that it has had nuclear power for 30 years. June the 10th, I attended the unveiling of the new ATCO Centre building site. Yeah, their project is $73 million on 16 acres. Very exciting. Then the luncheon at the Holiday Inn was not bad either. This is going to be a real service center for the city, for Alberta, because they're going to service all the meters in all of Alberta. They're going to be doing them here, and their projected employees are going to go around 230 to 240. So they were also advocating for lights at the airport. On the 11th, I also, along with Councillor O'Toole, attended the final Troy Drysdale tournament and fundraiser. Also, those funds that you had alluded to, they weren't only just for people for EMS, they had said at the convention, at the evening supper. It went to people in Rycroft and Spirit River and all in our EMS area, which that was quite nice. One of the girls that was there spoke about getting the bursary. On the 11th, I attended, that was that. On the 12th, I attended Minister Mel Knight's annual picnic and unveiling of the new Karen Rock display. I'm very proud to say my granddad, Joe Tomshak, has his rock on there, and his view to the public, it's, you can drive right in there and see this cairn rock at the Kleskin Hills Park. It's for our heritage in the Grand Prairie area. Now, I'd also like to challenge or ask if she's in town, Councillor Rice, to come and watch someone park an RV in less than 3 to 4 minutes. Not too far from you, happens to be my house. And I'd like to thank Councillor Gustafson and the Mayor Given for taking care of business while the others were out of town. That's all, Mayor Given.
Thanks very much, Councillor Crokin. Councillor Munro.
Thanks, Mayor Given. On May 18th, I went with several of the councillors to Dawson Creek and met with the Dawson Creek City Council. Town Council. May 19th, met with the Grand Cache Council here at the library and did the tour. And as well, June 3rd through 6th, attended the FCM conference. Once again, I think most of it's been covered off here. The one highlight that I would like to address, though, is I did take in the curbside recycling seminar and was glad to see that it looks like we're on the right track with our curbside recycling as far as best practices are concerned. June 8th, I attended Center for Research and Innovation steering team meeting, and June 9th had the opportunity to have a brief meeting with the Premier as well. And other than that, that wraps me up.
Thanks very much, Councillor Munro. Councillor Rice?
I too attended the meeting with Grand Cache Council. I attended the Wapiti Gravel 50th anniversary celebration, which was the form of the kickoff breakfast for Stompede. So congratulations to Wapiti Gravel. They've been certainly a bonus citizen in our community for obviously 50 years. Attended the FCM with other members of council. The session I guess I found the most fascinating was the rising cost of policing, the whys that is and what you can do about it. As you know, all across Canada, it's a priority. Obviously, safety is a priority with citizens. I attended the fire training facility opening on Saturday. It was rather interesting to me. One of the skills I'd never thought of firefighters of having to hone was cutting holes in roofs and making sure how they can tell that they don't cut through a beam and how, so they have to be a bit of a carpenter as well. And then that was like, okay, I guess I never thought of that. I am quite excited to announce that Alberta has a new internship program. It's awarding Alberta post-secondary students a $1,000 bursary for completing an internship at one of the province's not-for-profits or voluntary organizations. AUMA is playing a big role in this, and of course what it's modeled on is the internship program available to municipalities. The success of that program has been so strong that they have actually expanded it, and it'll answer a lot of needs of the not-for-profit voluntary organization. I'm quite excited, looking forward to Wednesday and Municipal Government Day. I'll wait to hope that council is on its toes and we don't embarrass ourselves in our portion of the amazing race. And I will say with regret that I won't accept Alderman Crokin's invitation. I've never had a desire to see him back into anything.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Rice. Councillor Wong, I think we started with you, so that would mean it's my turn. Apologize to the list of outings that I had here. I probably won't be able to do all of them justice. On Tuesday the 17th, I attended an ATA panel on school and community integration. On the 18th, I was also at the Dawson Creek, meeting with Dawson Creek Council in Dawson Creek, and on Thursday the 19th, I was here at the meeting with the Grand Cache Council, where we had the pleasure of giving them a tour of the multiplex construction site, which I think they appreciated. They noted that they're also building an aquatic center in their community as well, and towards the end of the tour, there was one of the counselors who said, "Wow, I'm certainly going to come up here and swim. That's going to be great." And to which their other counselors said, "No, wait a minute, swim local, swim local." So already I think our facility is one of envy for the region, which is great to hear. Tuesday the 24th, I was also at the Wapiti 50th Anniversary Stampede Bust Out Breakfast, and later that day I was at the Holiday Inn for the Stampede Week proclamation. On Thursday the 26th, I was at Hillside School to proclaim CNIB Shades of Fun Day in the city of Grand Prairie. And later that day, I popped by for the 35th anniversary celebration of the Grand Prairie Indoor Playground Society. Fantastic to see that there's an organization that's been around that long that's providing a place for families and kids to go. Saturday the 28th, I was at the Farmers Market to proclaim the International Day of the Honeybee with some of the honeybee vendors, or sorry, some of the honey vendors at the market. And later that day, I had the pleasure and honor of being the reviewing officer for the Army cadets at Decoy Armories. It's scary when you get that many cadets marching at you, but they informed me that all I had to say basically was yes to anything they asked. Yeah, would you like to inspect the troops? Yes. Can we continue with the review? Yes. So I was able to handle it, but a great group of kids, and I was really surprised to note actually that there's no charge for anybody that wants to take part in Army cadets. And so I think it's a valuable resource for the community, and they provide a lot of valuable work in the community as well as volunteers, so kudos to them. On Wednesday the 1st, I popped by Community Village for the open house put on by the Grand Prairie Performing Arts Guild. The Performing Arts Guild was formerly known as the Ovations Dinner Theatre. They've started a not-for-profit organization that'll focus more broadly on the performing arts, and they are looking at renovating the space in the former sanctuary at this former St. Joe's Church and turning that into a dinner theater space, which I think would be a fantastic activity generator in the evening hours for that site. So hopefully we'll see some more good news coming around that. Later that evening, I also popped by to bring greetings to the Aboriginal Friendship Walk. On Saturday the 4th, I attended at the Devon Safety Expo at Safety City, and later that afternoon had the pleasure and honor of being the reviewing officer for the Air Cadets. And the Air Cadets had their review ceremony at the Stars Hangar, which I think was fantastic given the crossover there. And there was a little bit of a surprise at the end of the presentation. Their regional director came forward and let everyone know that they'd been selected as the best group of Air Cadets in Northwest Alberta, and have been probably about 10 years since they've been recognized that way. So we can say that we have the best Air Cadets in Northwest Alberta out of probably 15 different companies apparently. On Sunday the 5th, I attended at the West Point Community Church for their dedication and opening of their brand new facility, which will include daycare facilities, which was fantastic to see. On Monday the 6th, I also attended the Graffiti Wipeout Week, and then was later at the Golden Age Center to proclaim Seniors Week in the city of Grand Prairie. And later that afternoon, I met with MLA Ted Morton, who is seeking the PC party leadership. Tuesday the 7th, I was with Councillor Radburn at James Manor to hear concerns from the residents about unwanted activities in their area. Wednesday the 8th, I also was at the ATCO presentation on their new $73 million facility, which will be located in the city of Grand Prairie city limits, and we certainly appreciate the fact that they made that decision. We know that they could locate that building wherever they wished, but we appreciate the fact that they chose the city of Grand Prairie to do business with. On Thursday the 9th, I was also at the lunch for Premier Stelmach and was with him as he announced Grand Prairie's $1.1 million in Green Trip funding that will go to purchasing new transit buses. And then Friday the 10th, I participated in the Sunrise House Odyssey House Golf Tournament. Premier Stelmach was stationed on one hole and was giving every team an extra drive off the tee. But it certainly was a pleasure to see that the fundraiser went so well. Early numbers, I understand that they felt that they would raise somewhere in the area of $100,000 to be split between the two organizations. The Grand Prairie Golf and Country Club said that it was the largest fundraiser tournament that they've ever had at the Golf and Country Club in terms of the amount that was generated. So fantastic to see, and I'm very proud that the City of Grand Prairie could be a partner in that initial golf tournament. Saturday the 11th, I popped over to bring greetings to the Highland Games. Of note, it's actually the 25th anniversary of the Highland Games in Grand Prairie, and a pleasure to see that that's going strong and continues to grow. And from there, I went over to the Pete Eager Fire Station to participate in the ribbon cutting where they had the Jaws of Life to cut a simple little plastic ribbon. I thought it was a little bit of overkill, but I guess that's how we do things. And I want to say a special thank you and congratulations to firefighter Terry Hoyen, who really spearheaded the construction of that project and donated a lot of the labor and his own personal time to do that, and we certainly appreciate it. And then finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it, on May 30th, we welcomed a little girl to my family. And so we welcome Mila Shane Given to our family, and I want to say thank you to council members and administration who've supported me and my family as we've gone welcomed her. And that's it. Thank you very much.